Meeting of the Grand County Council to order. Present is Greg Halliday, Evan Clapper, Curtis Wells, Mary McGann, Rory Paxman. Patrick Trim is out of town on a family emergency. Jalen Hawks will be arriving shortly. Thank you. We will begin with the Thompson Springs. Oh, let's begin with Pledge of Allegiance. Or should we do it after the Thompson Springs? Let's do it now? Oh, okay. Lee, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excuse me, mine just disappeared. I would entertain a motion for the minutes for December 19th and
so moved.
Seconds. Okay, to approve the minutes was motion was made by Curtis Wells, seconded by Rory Paxman. Any discussion?
Madam Chair, did you mention that this is the Thompson Springs?
Yes.
Fire District? Thank you.
Yes. This is the Thompson Spring Fire District meeting. Yes. Any discussion? We will call for a vote. All in favor? Passes 5-0. Ratification of payment of bills.
Well, they're pretty simple. It was easy to follow through these, but the total bills and payroll for the Thompson Springs Fire District of 1/16/2018 is $941.11. There was looks like some propane, and Moab Heat and Cool had to fix the furnace, it looks like. So that's all of the budget.
Second.
Any discussion? Jalen Hawks has joined us. Thank you. Okay, all in favor? Thank you very much.
When you do roll call.
Oh, certainly. I knew that. Greg Halliday.
Aye.
Jalen Hawks.
Yes.
Evan Clapper.
Aye.
Curtis Wells.
Aye.
Mary McGann. Aye. Rory Paxman.
Yes. Who seconded that?
That was seconded by Curtis. Okay, election and appointment of chairperson, secretary, and treasurer to the board. We have to have on this board, someone has to be the chair, secretary, and we need a treasurer. Do we have any motions?
You're doing a great job, Sharon.
So is that a motion?
If you're willing
I'm
and
willing.
able,
Yeah.
I would like to nominate Mary McGann as chair of the Thompson Springs Fire District.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? I did discuss.
Sorry, could you state?
Oh, okay. The motion passed 6-0 to have Mary McGann as chair of the Thompson Springs. I did talk to Bryony, and she was willing to be secretary, but she is not here tonight, but she's usually always here. So
I make that motion to appoint Bryony secretary of the Thompson Special Service Fire District.
Second.
further discussion? All in.
I do have some discussion. Just that the secretary is actually a board appointment, someone on the board. However, Thompson Fire District, I believe, has had that position kind of oversee the actual person doing the work. So the work of the secretary of the board would be posting, I'm not sure what all, maybe you can help me with this, Diana. Actually, do you? So it's posting of agendas and meeting minutes, which we don't ever post the meeting minutes. So this will be new for her. There are board secretaries who act as staff that do get paid, and one of the things I looked at, if you all wanted to consider, and I know it's probably not in this Thompson Fire budget, one board is paying their staff person $15 an hour. Bryony actually makes more than that with the county. Another board staff person is being paid more of a monthly amount, which is probably, it's around $475 a month or something. Probably a lot more involved board. That would be
this district, before we took it over, or the board, was not currently paying a secretary.
I don't know. Do you know? She was paid? Or was she a board?
So I kind of, we've taken on the extra responsibility as the board, and I see that the administrator's office is, naturally largely a support for, the council. So, I see it as part of our responsibility. So we would be just someone to essentially take notes, post agendas, post minutes.
Mm-hmm. There's other paperwork that comes in from time to time, workers' comp stuff, insurance renewals.
How much time
budget
do you
preparation,
think this would be?
We don't know how to do, really. But
there's a lady up there that picks the mail up and brings it down.
Yeah.
Where's that mail coming directly here?
Mark has been doing that.
Yeah.
Mark.
Okay.
So it's minimal, but yeah, it's something.
Well, I think we could figure something out, but I think the motion is good. I think makes sense.
And then we can later decide on compensation, and then bring it and have it retroactive to.
Whatever you guys want to do. I just wanted to bring it out there, what other boards do.
Any further discussion? All in favor of Bryony being our secretary? Motion passes 6-0. Treasurer, what does this entail? Is this something, who's doing that now? Are you doing that, Diana?
I am paying their bills because they're part of the county now.
Yeah.
I really don't have a problem since I'm here anyway doing the minutes.
I don't think anyone else makes sense except Diana. To have another person in between her and everything else.
Yeah. And you're okay with that, Diana?
Yeah, I'm not a board member, but you guys are a board member. I don't know how that works, actually. Certainly do the minutes. I'll be paid to bill anyway.
Okay.
Motion to appoint Clerk Auditor Diana Carroll as treasurer to the Thompson Springs Special Service Fire District Administrative Control Board.
Motion by Curtis Wells seconded by Rory Paxman. Any further discussion? I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Motion passes 6-0.
Great.
Adopting proposed resolution amending the bylaws to include electronic meetings.
I can speak to that, Madam Chair, if you like. The request actually came out of a county council budget workshop, and so this would allow you all, as the board of the fire district, to call into meetings. You may recall that the county council can do that too, as long as the county council has the quorum in present. This actually does not require that the quorum be present, and it looked like we may have needed that over the holidays. So these sets of bylaws are redlined to update to more fit what we are currently doing, which are having the meetings on Tuesdays, typically 4 o'clock, that there would be 4 board members to constitute a quorum, etc. So there's some housekeeping in here in addition to the electronic meetings. That means you can call in for real-time meetings. It does not mean you can hold a meeting by email. That's not real-time. So I think this is a temporary update to the fire district board bylaws. I don't know if there's anything else in here unless you all wanted to change something about, the list of officers. You don't have to have a secretary and a treasurer, that sort of thing. So,
Curtis Wells?
I move we approve the resolution amending the bylaws of the Thompson Springs Special Service Fire District Administrative Control Board as written.
Do I have a second? Greg Halliday, second. First by Councilman Curtis Wells. Any further discussion?
So is this a area where we could change the requirement that board members live in Thompson?
oh, yeah, actually, does it say that? I missed that.
I didn't see it specified, that's why I was.
That was in the original bylaws.
Well, it makes sense because it's the Thompson Springs district.
I'm just wondering if there's some fire folks or emergency folks around that we could get serving on the board so that it's not necessarily happening here.
I made the board members have to live within the district.
Okay.
Thompson Fire District.
Well, that's why it's not in here.
It's in the charter. Resolution that created.
Okay. Well, but you all also adopted a resolution where you're, taking over as the board, so it's a little tricky.
Yeah,
that's-
Hopefully temporary.
I know if it's a temporary thing, do we really want to be tweaking the bylaws too much? Because the
That's a
idea
good-
is that somebody could just step right into it.
That's a good point, too. The
Yeah.
only reason we tweaked it at all was to include electronic meetings.
So maybe we should scrap the line, changing it from 3 members to 7 members, so that when we're trying to create it, we're not tying our hands and we have to find 7 people.
We just have to redo it again anyway.
Would we?
You can amend the
Well,
the
for the
amount of
meeting
board
day.
members by way of a resolution.
Say that again, sorry.
So you,
Or Evan, do you want to?
In the future, if we form a new board, will we need to go through this process again? Or
Well, right, because you'd want to get your meeting dates and times back and your number of board members. I don't know.
so what do you mean by forming a new board, like a larger district, or like reforming just the Thompson?
if citizens in Thompson want to take over their fire district again, that they would, if Mark can find some folks that are willing to be active and take on these roles, then I don't want him to feel like he has to find 7 people.
I agree. I mean,
You can't even find 3.
yeah, but I think irregardless, it makes sense to reduce that to 3, personally. I mean, I think 7's too many for us, but for a small district like that, 7 members to the fire district, that's a bit much.
Because there's 7 members of us.
Right,
Yeah,
that's the only
I
reason.
don't like the logic, though. It's what's the population within the district?
Won't we have to just redo?
Sure. I mean,
Yeah,
we can
we'll
redo
just
it
have-
then. Or
yeah,
we
let's
can-
redo
okay.
it then.
But my question is with this resolution, would it be possible if I reworded my motion to make that amendment right now? To reduce the number of board members
Oh.
from 7 to 3?
Well, but then you all are the operating board, so which 3 are you? I'm just trying to have a temporary set of bylaws that works for what you all are
when
now.
we took this in, though, you're not going to be able to draw a direct parallel from the county council to the special service district. We are the district, but we're the governing body of the county, and we're taking over control of this district, whether we have 3 or 7. I don't really think you got to fit the square pegs into the square holes of the district. We're just stepping in to manage it, but I don't think amending the bylaws of the entity right now that's more ideal to long-term management of this district by Thompson residents is going to get in the way of us doing our duty right now. Would you?
You could actually just postpone the whole thing if you don't care about if you don't really care about electronic meetings for this group right here. You could just postpone this and then we could fix it back to
So,
3.
but my question is if I amend my motion right now, that's on the floor right now, to reduce the board from 7 to 3 members, can that be done through this resolution?
Yeah.
So,
You can make any changes in it, yes.
so I would like to make,
Before you do that, it might be simpler to just amend the motion to be, the board shall consist of between 3 and 7 members. Then if that covers them, if they can only get 3 people, they're covered. And if
And
they
then
go
we're
from
all,
3 and this board has to take it over again, we're covered. Was that?
that makes sense.
that makes a lot of sense. Want to amend your motion?
Yes.
Say something about the quorum size being the majority of the board members.
Yeah.
That's in there a
Majority
bunch.
of board members.
Instead of 4, say, the majority of board members shall constitute a quorum, right here.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay.
So I'll make a substitute motion to approve the resolution amending the bylaws of the Thompson Springs Special Service Fire District Administrative Control Board to include the resolution as proposed with the amendments to, which article is that? Article 3, membership, amend to, from board shall consist of 7 members to the board shall consist of between 3 to 7 members.
Got it.
And which article is the quorum? Article,
Section 4.
Article 2, Section 4. Give me a minute here. I see it, I just need to. It's a bit of a paragraph as written. If less than 4 board members are present. Something along the lines of a simple majority shall constitute a quorum.
Got it.
Second.
Second by Evan Clapper, the amendment by Curtis Wells. Any further discussion? All in favor? Motion passes 6-0. Did you second it?
No, I've got a discussion item, Madam Chair.
Okay, any discussion items? Yes. Curtis?
So have we discussed like a timeline to try to spin this back out into citizen involvement? Do we have a plan for that? I mean, I realize we've got a bit of a challenge with a lack of engagement from the Thompson's citizens, but we should probably have I mean, the resolution we just adopted today, I think was a good move, but do we have a plan to get, folks more involved in this, or what's the?
Not really. Right now, we have the fire chief who is out there. We did have 2 volunteers. They have decided to move elsewhere, so now we're back to him again.
Sorry.
So the next time I'm out there, I can talk with the water board and see if we can get some of those people to cross over and sit on the fire board.
That's who
I'll
was.
make that a point to talk to them and see if we can do that.
So in discussions with the Moab Valley Fire District, what's their position on this in terms of, can they ever see themselves being involved in Thompson, having like an interlocal agreement with the Thompson district? Because if we can't even produce volunteers to man the district aside from the chief, then trying to find board members simultaneously, it's just, we're going to be chasing our tail on this thing. And
Well, board members are not volunteer firemen.
well, right, but if you can't find the firemen, then what good's a governing board if you don't have firemen to govern?
You don't have a fire.
So that,
Partly what I was imagining some was with EMS becoming a special service district, there was a lot of questions around what was going to play out with that and whether there'd be any kind of partnerships with fire or whatever. And now that that kind of has a plan in place and there's some movement being taken there, I think the next step would be speaking with Whitney or someone to get a presentation about how having a county-wide fire district would affect the insurance ratings. I forget all the acronyms that go along with that, and maybe addressing trying to lower some of those by either having fire fighting resources in place in some of these far-flung areas of the county, and then hopefully trying to get the Moab Fire District to take on a wider district that would encompass something more like the county boundaries.
Greg Halliday?
Based on this, yeah, I was in a meeting today with Rick Bailey, and we were discussing the problem with private land in the county that is currently not in one of the 3 fire districts or is not being assessed a tax to pay for fire protection.
Right.
Now, one of the things that we looked at was that Moab Fire is currently a very low ISO rating because they have access to fire plugs and there is a culinary water system. Once you get away from that, then your ISO rating is going to go up because they don't have that kind of protection. Just putting equipment out in areas is not going to do anything for the ISO rating, because the insurance companies look at it, they want to see people, they want to see training, they want to see these kind of things going on, preventative measures being taken. And if it's just equipment sitting there, it's not going to do anything. So we're looking at the possibilities of keeping the 3 fire special service districts. Moab already is covering outside of their district the western face of LaSalle's, the private property there. They're going up 191 north outside of their district. Okay, Castle Valley is leaving their district as well. I personally fought a fire on the 3rd of December in Willow Basin, which is outside of the district. There's some other areas outside of the Castle Valley Fire District. Looking at this whole situation and discussing this with Rick Bailey, we're leaning toward a county-wide special service districts for the collection of fire taxes outside of the 3 currently established fire districts. That's so when we leave, when one of the fire districts leaves their district to fight a fire on private property, they can be compensated for that action. And it doesn't have to be a surprise for us coming out of the general fund.
Curtis?
So a recommendation that I have is, the concern I have with this isn't our job, we've taken this on, but we're just going through the motions, really paying the bills, putting the agenda together. This isn't a body that's going to provide a lot of substance in the realm of fighting fires in Thompson. So a better short-term, transitional structure for this is to be able for this district to be able to hold their meetings like in Moab, and to have, if we could get a couple members of the Moab Fire District to serve on this board, so that this district's meetings are held in conjunction, either essentially like we're doing it. The Thompson Fire District meetings are held either before or after the Moab Fire District meetings. So you have people with experience and knowledge in that area, and to kind of better familiarize those 2 entities with themselves as far as this district floating out on our desks, because ultimately we're not going to be the board for that district. It makes better sense for fire people to be running fire districts. So where we just reduce the amount of board members to 3, go find some guys that are, you know, serving on the fire district board or firefighters. You know, it's a short-term, you know, opportunity for them to serve on this board, and just kind of merge that with the meetings of the other fire district. That's a better structure than what we're doing now.
Diana, would they be able to do that? Would that fall within, because I know we have the right as a council, Grand County Council, when needed to take over a district. Could we give that responsibility to the Moab Valley Fire
Well,
Department?
I don't really see it as us giving the responsibility to them. We're getting some folks that also serve in that capacity as board members to that district, to serve as board members of this district.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we can do that. Or do we need
I
to
mean,
research?
if the council can serve as board members to this district, then why not?
Because you are the governing body, you created that board.
So if you're a board member that lives, if you're a person that lives outside of this district and you're not a county councilman, you can't serve on this board.
We could maybe research that, but I think the only reason we can do it is because we're countywide.
That may be the case. It makes sense for this
makes more
district
sense.
to idle, you know, in the fire district board arena than here in the county. I mean, if that's the direction we're going, is to kind of do some unification, or, you know, those districts are going to be changing. Something's got to happen.
In the future, can we see where that's written, that, where that has to be?
I actually took a note to check into that. It would be in their enabling documents. I do believe what Diana's saying is right. It's true for the other districts.
It is there. It says you have to be
Yeah.
a resident of Thompson.
Well, if
To
we
be
can
honest.
see that, that'd be cool.
Can that be amended by a public hearing?
I think it's a resolution. I probably
So
can look
that's-
into that.
I mean, we are the
I mean, I don't know if that's-
legislative authority here. If it's possible, I would like to have some follow-up on it, because I think that's a more appropriate direction than what we're doing now.
I concur.
I'll see what I can
Any
find
for,
out.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So we'll have some follow-up on that for
Yeah.
the next meeting.
Diana just mentioned that, you know, the Lieutenant Governor's office is who ultimately certifies these districts, so it might be quite a process, but I can let you know.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Any further discussion?
Would you guys be interested in hearing a presentation from those guys about the, what's the acronym, IA, the ISOs, in a Thompson meeting or in a council meeting?
Probably. I think either one might be really worthwhile. Probably Jeff could do that.
Yeah,
That's the insurance issue.
yeah, of, like Greg was saying, it's a complicated thing to bring those numbers down.
And we have a good rating now, and if we lose that, then everybody pays.
So is this kind of in conjunction with the workshop to kind of vision, you know, future restructuring arrangements with like fire and EMS?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I'm really curious about that process and would like to, you know, get an update on that as far as like timelines. When are they hoping to come to a decision point on that? And so I would love to hear from them.
Could we get Jeff on the agenda for February? Is that?
So there's a February 6th public hearing on this EMS district. Do you want to wait to see if the district is even going to actually be formed? I mean, it's not
Okay.
formed yet.
Sounds good. Let's do that.
Should we wait? Or
Wait till
is it
after
contingent
the
on
pub-
EMS, or is it more, I know Greg has been doing a lot of
Well,
work in the background on some other
Andy's not able to
thoughts.
spread his wings on his own, then maybe he partners with some kind of broader emergency system that includes fire or who knows what. So it's
I would like to hear it up front, to be honest with you.
Sooner.
okay.
Because that will play a determining factor in my thoughts on the district creation.
And really, we're not asking for a structure answer. We're asking for just an understanding of what these ratings are and how we can
How they're
improve them and stuff. Because I mean, if it means that we just require that when people build a house, they trim trees further away from their house, and that lowers their rating, then well, I don't know. It's
Well,
all like word of mouth.
let's
That's why
not
I
go
want-
on. We spent a half hour on this 15-minute board meeting. We can talk about that later.
I
We
move
do
to
not.
adjourn.
We do not have a public hearing. Evan moves to adjourn. We have future considerations. We're spot. Okay. Who seconded? Curtis seconded. All in favor of closing this public meeting? Or this meeting of Special Service Fire District Thompson Springs?
Hey, Ruth, what happened to the recycle tub?
Good question.
Okay. We got to
Switching
change.
hats.
Switching
So
hats.
used to this.
The meeting for Grand County Council's regular board meeting for January 16th, Tuesday, 2018. I call to order at the time of 4:32. Present is Councilman Greg Halliday, Councilwoman Jalen Hawks, Evan Clapper, Curtis Wells, Mary McGann, and Rory Paxman. First order of business is approval of minutes.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes?
I move to approve the minutes from, what all did we have here? July 5th, 2017. The minutes from, sorry, I'm scrolling.
What did you?
I move to approve the minutes from the July meetings through. Oh, what am I looking at?
You're looking at it.
Sorry, I withdraw my motion. Lost. Where am I?
Motion to approve minutes from October 3rd through January 2nd.
We didn't have them all. We're going to have
November 14th.
October 3rd through November 14th.
Excuse me.
So,
A through E.
we have a motion on the floor from Curtis Wells to approve the minutes from October 3rd, October 4th, 17th, and 17th, November 8th, and November 14th. Do I have a second? Greg Halliday seconds. Any further discussion?
Possibly.
Possibly. Yes.
Well, it's probably just a typo. On October 17th, regular county council meeting minutes, agenda item O. Motion by Councilmember Wells to approve reassignment of council-appointed Mosquito Abatement District Board member to Councilmember Patrick Trim to Rory Paxman. One of those twos needs to be changed. Who got the assignment? You got it, Rory?
No, that's Patrick's.
Okay, from Rory Paxman then.
And that was which meeting? November.
That was October 17th.
October 17th.
And on the special canvassing of the election on November 14th, I did not see a starting time on that. We adjourned at 10:10, so one can assume we started at 10, but we normally have a starting time in the minutes, so.
Good. That was when it was scheduled.
That's all I have.
Any further? So we have a motion on the floor. If you want to amend it to include those two corrections. Do we have any further discussion? Chris made the motion and Greg Halliday seconded. All in favor? The motion passes 6-0.
Madam Chair, do you want to postpone the remaining?
Oh, yes, and I need to have a motion to postpone item F through L.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Evan Clapper, seconded by Rory Paxman. Any further discussion? All in favor? Ratification of bills.
All right, ratification of bills for Grant County, bills to be approved for 1/16/2018. Total bills, $1,133,845.47. Total payroll, $188,985.42. Total bills and payroll, $1,322,830.89.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Evan Clapper. Further discussions? Any discussion? Okay, I'll call for a roll call vote. Greg Halliday,
Aye.
Jalen Hawks,
Yes.
Evan Clapper,
Aye.
Curtis Wells,
Aye.
Mary McGann, yes. Rory Paxman?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Okay, do we have any, does not appear to have any elected official reports. Council Administrator report?
Yeah, mine is more about what's coming up. So I have a meeting tomorrow to review the county's water rights and to see what kind of next steps the county can take in order to be sure that we don't lose them. That's my report.
Thank you. Department reports. We have a department report from Lee Shenton on the uranium mill tailings remediation action project.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Lee Shenton, the county's liaison to the uranium mill tailings remedial action being run by the Department of Energy. I'm here to give you my annual review of the project. I want to point out for council and the public that I am a Grand County citizen and a Grand County employee. I do not speak for the Department of Energy. So what you're going to hear is my perspective about what's going on with that project. Okay, for highlights, after 13 months without a federal project director, the Department of Energy has hired a new project director, Mr. Russell McAllister, who is an experienced project director for DOE and their environmental management group. I have sat down with Mr. McAllister and talked to him for a few minutes about how we, the community, interact with the project, and he has shared with me some thoughts about how they might accelerate the project. Mr. McAllister is currently wrapping up his duties at another project. He will start full-time for the Moab project on February 20th. In the meantime, we continue to have, fortunately, some other experienced project directors in the Environmental Management Office who are tag teaming out of Cincinnati and coming here 2 weeks at a time. So at this point they are all acting deputy project directors. Okay, the next item, which was very important to the steering committee, is that the Utah Department of Health provided us with their epidemiological study, update of potential health impacts in the Moab area. They looked at 5-year periods from 1980 on through 2014. They found nothing new compared to what they provided at our request back in 2012. There are, if you read the report, 2 types of cancers in the Moab area that have higher incidence compared to Utah overall. Both are very highly correlated with lifestyle choices. For example, the one which relates to males in the Moab area for every 5-year period since 1980 is a type of lung and bronchial cancer highly correlated with smoking. Okay. The other one, a type of cervical cancer, did not show up again. It only showed up in the very first 5-year period, but it was higher, and that one was also related to lifestyle choices. 56% of the tailings have been removed so far. The defensive wells between the pile and the river are still extracting the contaminated water, keeping it out of the river. Yes?
So you're pulling contaminated water out of the wells.
Yes.
Where are you putting it after that?
The project team distributes on the remaining portion of the tailings pile as a dust control method, and therefore ultimately the contamination ends up in the disposal cell at Crescent Junction anyway. So it actually works pretty well. And also the final vicinity property is being remediated as we speak, formerly known as Burt's Auto, I think. And some of you are aware that back in the day, Burt apparently saw an opportunity to take some pipe that was being offered from the mill to use as fence posts. What they didn't really know in those days is that that pipe had a crust in it, a scale, a lime, that was pretty highly radioactive. So that is one of the final parts of the project that's being handled by the technicians from the project. Okay, this shows you the brown mountain, I call it, behind is the curve of the annual millions of tons per year of tailings removed since they started moving tailings in April of '09. You can see that during those first 3 years, the big boost from the what we called ARA funding, colloquially known as stimulus funding, really got their throughput up. As a matter of fact, in fiscal 11, they were able to move over 2 million tons in the 1 year. You can see that since about fiscal 12, the funding provided to this project has been more in the range of 30 to 35 million. And I had data for the last 3 fiscal years to add a bar on top of those last 3 to make the point that Moab's project is one of 6 that's being handled by the Environmental Management Office of DOE. Those 6 are in a category called non-defense environmental small projects. But the point of this is that you can see that the Moab project alone gets roughly half of the total for those 6 small projects. So it's not being ignored, but there very definitely is an allocation decision to be made at the DOE level. They have over a $6 billion budget, and Moab is getting 35 million of that, but places that have really, really significant contamination and hazard for the public, specifically Hanford, is getting over $1.5 billion a year. Okay. I want to point out that the fiscal 17 tons moved. The contract specified at least 480,000 tons. They actually moved about 493,000. So for fiscal 17, that number is correct. For fiscal 18, it's an estimate. I just estimated they would hit their contracted amount at 480 again.
Lee?
Yeah.
The Brown Mountain in the back,